All right, and welcome to BrainGrid. In our previous two videos, you saw how we got to create a project and connect a GitHub repo, and then from there we created our first requirement. In this video, we're going to take that requirement, which you can see here as Rec2, and we're going to go ahead and break that down into tasks. So let's click into this requirement. We still have our chat on the left-hand side. We have our BrainGrid requirement here for high intensity interval training, which is something we want to add to the application. And now we're going to break that down into tasks. So we have two ways we can do that. We can click the button here, which will break a requirement into tasks, or we can just talk to our agent. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and talk to the agent. And so now, once I've told it to break it down, the agent will use the requirement that we created with its codebase understanding, and we'll turn this into atomic actionable tasks that can then be fed to whatever coding agent you use to do the implementation. So as you can see here, the agent is double checking itself. It's gathering some additional context before it gets started on breaking these down into tasks. As it does this, the important thing to know about the tasks are essentially the prompts that we create that you can execute sequentially. We do have dependencies, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, but you can execute those tasks sequentially by taking that prompt that we'll see here in a few minutes, giving that to whatever coding agent you're using, whether that's Claude Code, Cursor, or Lovable. And this is the instructions that their coding agents will then utilize to go start the implementation and actually write the code. All right, so now it's done enough discovery, and it's going to start breaking this down and starting on its first task now. So now you can see it's gone ahead and automatically switched tabs. And that first task has already been created, and it's going to move on to the second task. At this point, I'm not sure exactly how many tasks it's going to create, but it will create enough to ensure that all of the acceptance criteria is met and that we can actually ship the requirement or the feature or bug fix that we're trying to build. So now we're up to 3 tasks, moving on to 4. And you can see here, these first 2 tasks have no dependencies, so they're not blocked by anything. So you could actually execute those in whatever order you want. But as we start to get to task 3, you can see it has a dependency on task 2 to be complete. And that's the same with task 4 and the same with task 5. As you look over here to the right between complexity and readiness, so this sort of gives you an indicator of how hard is it going to be for the agent to implement this, and how ready or how broken down is it. You really typically want this to be a higher readiness score and lower complexity, but most everything that's coming out here right now looks pretty good, and that will give us a good opportunity to single shot these tasks. You can see this last one here is super easy. It's probably something in the user interface. But while that's finishing up, let's actually take a look at one of the tasks. So we're going to jump into this first one. So as you come in here, you notice again, there's no dependencies. We give, the prompt has essentially what is the task, what's its complexity and readiness. We give it a goal. We want to ensure that there's implementation context. Still writing, so it's refreshing on me. You've got a scope definition. You've got the full implementation steps. And very importantly, at the very end there, you've got the success criteria. So this is what you can utilize again in order to say like, hey, was this task actually successful? Okay, so now it's completed all of its tasks. In order for us to implement this feature, we would have 8 tasks that have to be built. Let's jump into one that's a little more complex here. So this is actually creating a dashboard page. And again, you're going to have the same elements in here. You have the goal, you have the implementation context, you have all of the key requirements, you have some technical codes, you have the scope definitions. And now very important here is you also have exclusions. And so a lot of times when the agents are coding, that's what they want to do. They want to just build. And so they are going to go at times above and beyond what you've asked it to do. We really, with BrainGrid and the style that we found to work the best, is we also want to not let it go beyond. We want to provide it exclusions so it's not doing more than we've asked it to. And again, we have the implementation steps, success criteria, and scope constraints. So at this point, this feature is now ready to go. So we've created our entire requirement and we have all the tasks broken down and we're ready to start our implementation. And I will do the implementation in our next video to show you how to do that, both utilizing our MCP server or just taking the prompts themselves and giving it directly to the agent of your choice. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you in the next video.